Welcome to this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast, where we look forward to shaving every day. Welcome to episode 72 of the podcast. My name is Rick DeWeese. I'll be your host this week. This week we've got a letter, and it's interesting that this letter happened to go perfectly with one of the things that I was going to talk about this week. I didn't plan it. It just kind of happened that way, so that was unique. So we've got the letter. Also, I've got just a quick thing. Somebody donated something to me, and I'm using it for the Scout Troop, and I just wanted to talk about it. And maybe you've got something that would be useful to either Scout Troops or other youth organizations out there. So keep those folks in mind, because a lot of times it's volunteers that are doing that, and they can use all the help that you can give them. We do the shaves of the day. I got about 4 shaves of the day that I talk about, and during my my shave of the day episodes, in the truck, I've got some thoughts and some epiphanies, and some experiences. One of them was my attempt at a single pass shave and how that worked out for me. Another one was my experience so far. Nathan Clark sent me the Brush and Soap and Blade podcast brush, the 2015 special edition podcast brush. He sent me the prototype of that, and it's got the 2-band Badger knot on it, and I've been using it for a little over a week. And so I talk a little bit about my experience with the Badger brush and what I think about it during these shave of the day reflections, if you will. And so that might be something to look forward to. I talk about my experience just briefly with a Mercure blade. I also have a bit of an epiphany. I talk about something that I experienced with an Illum block and a styptic pencil. I'd never done it before, and it worked out differently than what I had anticipated / expected, and so I'll talk to you about that. I then talk about lessons of the tent pole. Once you hear it, you'll understand. And then finally, maybe we should consider more and more, second chances. Maybe there's a reason that we should, give second chances to all kinds of things, I don't know. There's just something to be said about second chances. So we'll talk about that as well. I would like to mention that the Brush and Soap and Blade podcast wet shaving brush that is made by none other than Nathan Clark, time is running out. It is handmade up in Spanish Fork, Utah, and made to order. This is a black resin and Osage orange brush that Nathan Clark put together for us for a commemorative 2015 brush. A part of the proceeds are coming to the podcast here. And the brush has 2 knots available. It has a synthetic knot, and it also has a badger knot. Anyhow, the brush, I've got the prototype. Nathan sent it to me, and it's got the badger knot on it, and I talk about it in this episode, but time is running out. The brush itself is $69, and which is a great savings on any brush that Nathan Clark makes. Most of his brushes go for a little bit more than that, and so it is a very nice brush. You have the choice, like I said, of 2 knots, whether that's synthetic or badger. And so far, I've been ecstatic with the prototype. It really has been a great thing here. It's got a 24 millimeter diameter knot with a 50 millimeter loft. It is handmade in none other than Spanish Fork, Utah, by the man himself, Nathan Clark. And so time is running out. You have until the end of the month to pick one of these up. It is $69, and there is I'll have a link to the Etsy website. He had another website that he was using, and unfortunately, it wasn't doing quite right. So he moved it over to the Etsy website, and so we've got some brushes available. There's a silver tip, a 2-band silver tip, or a synthetic that's available. And so if you happen to want a brush, and like I said, right now I've got the Badger, the silver tip, and it is, well, I'll listen to the episode and I'll tell you all about it because it's in there. I'd also like to say, just apologize real quickly. I've something's going on with my setup in the truck. I'm using from time to time, I'm using a set of earbuds so that I can get feedback, just so that I know that I'm recording well. And if I have those things plugged in, I get an echo. I don't know if the silly things turn themselves into microphones. I don't know. I really don't know exactly what's going on. When I don't use them, it seems to work fine. So I will stop using those for future recordings. But the stuff that I went over this week was just so good. I thought about just not doing it, and I said, no, it's good. It's tolerable, but there is a bit of an echo there, and so I apologize up front. Hopefully, it's not too awful annoying. But it is what it is, and it's part of the life and times of a podcaster trying to perfect his craft. Maybe, yeah, we'll stick with that. Anyhow, that's kind of it for the announcements prior to the show. So let's get on with the good stuff. So I got a letter from Mark. There is always something to learn if you're open to it. There's a Latin expression that doesn't translate its meaning very well when put into English, but it is really powerful if you think about it. You've probably heard the expression, gold is where you find it. Aristotle stated that in terms of arts. One with practical knowledge is superior to one who has great theoretical knowledge. In other words, you may be better off going to the guy at Jiffy Lube instead of going to the Nobel-winning physics professor if you want to have your oil changed. I have 3 master's degrees in education, theology, and social work. Shaving, though, is an art, and as such requires practical knowledge. In learning to shave, I must admit, I thought my education would help me in perfecting this ability. On the week before Christmas, my wife and I went to an antique shop to buy each other Christmas gifts. My wife purchased me a gem micromatic razor, my first single-edged razor aside from the Schick injector. I quickly went to the drugstore and got some single-edged blades. I gave it several tries, and I was disappointed. It didn't seem to shave very well at all. With my ego, it was easy just to say, that's why these single-edged razors aren't as popular. The things just don't shave as well. Well, over the holidays, I met a barber who discussed my interest in traditional shaving with me. He told me that the single-edge gem razor is second only to the straight edge. Let's try this all over again. I quickly went to the drugstore and got some single-edge blades. I gave it several tries, and I was disappointed. It didn't seem to shave very well at all. With my ego, it was easy just to say, that's why these single-edge razors aren't as popular. The things just don't shave that well. Well, over the holidays, I met a barber who discussed my interest in traditional shaving with me. He told me that the single-edge gem razor is second only to the straight razor in quality of shave. He then told me that you shave with them in a unique way. You put the head of the razor flush against your face and then give it an angle like you would a straight razor. Also, when people do a down pass or a with the grain pass, they tend to go straight down. The beard actually grows on a line from your ear to your chin. The only straight down pass you should make is to trim your sideburns. The same goes for against the grain. So, I tried it. Yes, gold is where you find it. You can learn from a 90-year-old barber who never went to high school if you're open to learning. My Gem Micromatic razor is now in my rotation. Cheap salsa bowl regards, Mark. Well, Mark, great letter as always. I used a Gem push button last week, and while the push button mechanism I found to be just a tad finicky, the razor itself did a magnificent job. I really don't think I've ever been disappointed in the shave with a Gem single edge razor. And in fact, the single edge razors that I have, the Star, the Everready, and the Gems, they've all of them have given a magnificent shave. And in fact, I've also gotten magnificent shaves from my injector razors. And I've often asked myself the question, we seem to have gone and, run the gambit. We have gone through Gillettes and shit Coronas and things like that in the vintage era, into the new, the Parkers, the Mercures, and it's been double-edged razor. Double-edged this, double-edged that, double-edged, double-edged, double-edged. Okay. However, the single-edge razors, quite honestly, at least, I don't know. Again, it was something that I admitted last week that, well, I find it hard to admit. I find I enjoy the shave a little bit better from single-edge razors than I do from double-edge razors. There's just something about them that just, for me, does a better job. So it's curious, because there is a slew of double-edged razors that are being created. You've got the Beluga, you've got the Rockwell, you've got razors that are coming up on Kickstarter, but they're double-edged. And the new ones that are coming out, they're double-edged too. What happened to the single edge? Now, granted, there's the Cobra, there's the Mongoose, but it takes a special blade. What happened to the standard single-edged razor that takes just a standard single-edged blade? Nobody's made one. Now, personally, I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe there is a market for that, especially if you try a single-edged razor and find out just how good they are. Mark, as always, thank you very much for the letter. Today's shave. Okay, so I've been all over the map this week, and so today I decided, well, if you're going to be all over the map, let's do something else different. So today I went ahead and used L'Occitane Cat A soap, and thoroughly enjoyed that. It's a cream, and put an almond-sized bit in the modified salsa bowl that I have, and proceeded to use my 2015 Brush and Soap and Blade Badger brush, which is now, I must admit, it has become my favorite Badger brush. It's an awesome little brush. I mean, I really, really like it. It does a great job. And I find that, quite honestly, I'm reaching for it more than I am reaching for my Samogs, which hasn't never happened before. I mean, before my Samog bore brushes were the go-to brush. And now what I'm finding is I have a tendency to reach for the Badger brush that Nathan Clark put together. So good stuff. Anyhow, the Cat A soap. Of course, shaking the Badger brush out after soaking it in water, it maintains enough water to make an excellent lather. Didn't have to add anything. It was, nice and thick, and did 2 passes and a touch up with the Mercure slant, and got a great shave out of it. I did nick. I, I don't know if this happens to you, but every now and then, and it's only certain razors that it happens with, and it's interesting because typically they're double-edged razors. It's almost like the blade is so damn sharp that I can't feel it until I look up and go, ooh, oh, wait a minute. I nicked my ear. And, it's like, how the heck do you do that? I just, going up toward the side of my face, and I just happened to touch my ear with the dang thing, and boom, I got a nick on my ear. All right, so fair enough. I also had another small bump on my neck that I just took the top off of, basically. It's just kind of a weeper more than anything else. So that one was not a big deal, but the one on my ear, that was interesting. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Anyhow, back to the Cat A soap. Great job. It lathers so wonderfully, and with that Badger brush, it is really, I don't know, 30 swirls in the modified salsa bowl, and boom, I've got a lather that is more than usable and rather luxurious. It was well, I'm not going to say it was unexpected, but it seemed to be, and again, this is subjective. It seemed to be less effort than the boar brush, mainly because with the boar brush, you gotta, I swirl it around, kind of distribute the cream or the soap, and then I add water, and then I work it up into a lather. Whereas with the Badger brush, it maintains enough water that you just kind of, start lathering, and boom, there it is. It cuts out a step. It cuts out the distribution and the adding of water, so it's a little faster. I did take my time today with the Mercure slant razor. I didn't put any extra pressure on it or anything. Just kind of took my time and enjoyed the shave a little bit. Again, just a little 2-pass shave. I was using the Mercure blade. And I don't remember that I'd ever used the Mercure blade before. I've used feathers in it. I think I've used a Wilkinson or something, but I've never used a Mercure blade in it. So yeah, it's not a bad blade. It didn't give me any irritation or anything like that. It was a pretty decent little blade. I'm not terribly disappointed in it. I'd heard. Prior to this, I had heard kind of some background noise, if you will, that, the Mercure blades are not all that, and it wasn't bad. It's, it really wasn't bad. It'll be interesting. I'll probably try it again tomorrow. That way it'll have a shave on it already, and, typically blades tend to do just a little better on their second and third shaves. So, we'll see. But that was kind of interesting. Now, back to the ear thing. The ear thing was kind of interesting because, well, I learned something. I did something that caused kind of an epiphany, and it's like, well, I hadn't expected that. That's kind of neat. So I had, the cut on my ear, and then I also had a little weeper on my neck. So what I did is, I've been using an Alum block, and it's, I bought it, it's been about a year. And quite honestly, there is, I don't know, I think I've used maybe, well, let's see, I'm trying to think here. Maybe a fifth of it, a sixth of it, somewhere in that neighborhood. I mean, it's like, there's a lot of block left. Holy cow, I mean, I've used a minuscule amount of this thing, and, I don't use it every day, but I use it a lot. Now, as far as maintaining it, all I do is, I'll use it, and then I'll just drop the block back in the box close the box and put the box up on the shelf and let it dry. And it just sits there and dries in the box. Now the inside of the box is a little crusty, from the moisture and the environment, but it hasn't hurt the box. It hasn't degraded the box in any way, and the aluminum is still just perfect. I mean, it's smooth. It's nice. I mean, it's a nice little block of well, I guess it's alum, but it's really been, the edges are smoothed out and everything. I mean, it's really been nice. Talk about a purchase that was worth it. Now, meanwhile, so back to the cut ear thing. So I take the aluminum block and, I rinse my face off after the shave, and, because you've got an open, an open cut or something, the water has a tendency to sting, well, just a little bit. Okay. So I dampened the aluminum block, and I rubbed the aluminum block on it, and of course it stung, but just a little bit. It wasn't too bad. It's like aluminum's always been, not too ferocious. It's nowhere near as bad as a styptic pencil. It's okay. But then I noticed, the one on my neck had stopped, but the one on my ear, well, had not. So I looked in my drawer, and lo and behold, I found my evil styptic pencil, and grabbed it. And I thought, well, okay, I know this sucks, but I'll use the styptic pencil on it and see if I can't stop this thing from bleeding. So I dampened up the styptic pencil and applied the styptic pencil to the cut. It didn't hurt. And the only thing that I could surmise is that it didn't hurt because I had already used the alum block and basically desensitized the nerves to some extent. So to test the theory, also to find out if it was just my ear and I didn't have any feeling there, what I did is I went ahead and applied the styptic pencil to the cut on my, or the weeper really, on my neck. It didn't hurt either. I rubbed it and it didn't hurt. And so, okay, if you're out there and you're having issues and your styptic pencil is exceedingly painful for you, which it was for me, and that's why I rarely use it. Oh, and another thing about the styptic pencil, I don't know if I've ever reported this, but, a styptic pencil comes in a nice case, and it's long, it's kind of pencil-y, round and everything. And what I would do is I would use it by dipping the end in water to kind of moisten it up and rubbing it on the cut, and then I'd put it back in the tube. Put the cap back on the tube, throw it in the drawer. Well, over time, and I don't use it much, okay, but over time, the styptic pencil diameter has just, degraded, and in fact, the thing broke into pieces. And I looked at that and I'm like, well, you piece of garbage. It's like, come on, you got to be able to do something better than this. Meanwhile, I'm looking at the aluminum block that I've used for a year and thrown in the box damp, and it's like, it's perfect. It's like, well, that's just annoying as, anyhow. Goes back to my saying, it's an evil styptic pencil, wants you to spend your money, it hurts, it's evil. It's just evil. So anyhow, the only thing that I can gather is that, again, the alum block, the application of the alum, desensitizes the area, desensitizes the nerves to, the cut and everything. And if you then apply the styptic pencil, it doesn't hurt. So if you have issues with a styptic pencil like I do, and relate it to, designed by an ex-wife somewhere who really had a vendetta, then you may want to try getting a piece of alum and applying the alum first. It worked for me. I'll keep on trying it. If I have nicks or cuts, I may continue to experiment with it. But for now, that's what I'd like to report. That was kind of the epiphany of the morning, as it were. Let's see. Today's shave I kind of went back to the well when it comes to the brush and the soap. I used Katie's Bubbles Jardin d'Or and the 2015 Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast brush by Nathan Clark. I did notice one thing. The brush shed. Yes, it did. It shed. One hair. One hair came out of the brush. So, yes, I can officially say that, yeah, it shed. Of course, today, again, just like yesterday, when I soaked the brush and shook, not too vigorously, but shook the water out of the brush, the remaining water was enough to do a very nice lather without any additional water at all. And, well, I just kind of find that, kind of nice. The knot is obviously, well, exceedingly thick, because it's capturing and maintaining, at least a teaspoon of water. Because that's about what I was using with my bore brush. So, I'm just kind of equating the lathers and the amount of water that the brush appears to hold. And, so it did a very nice job. Of course, Katie's Bubbles, again, wonderful soap. Love the smell of a Jardin d'Or. And, really, really nice. Now, as far as the razor goes, well, since I used something as old as my gem Damascene yesterday, and because it just happened to be sitting on the sink, looking forlorn and needy, I guess is the best word, I went ahead and picked up the 1920s era Gillette Old type that I had used the week previous, and put razor to face and had a very nice shave. I mean, it really did a good job. It's curious switching back and forth because the double-edged they don't give the audible feedback, but they feel, I don't know, it sort of kinda, they feel, well, sharper. It's just, it's like you can almost feel more the cutting edge. And on the single-edged blades, I can't so much. It doesn't strike me as feeling sharp. It's just a perception. It really is, and I understand that. But it's just the single-edged blades, just seem, I don't want to say smoother because that's the wrong word. I'm less cognizant that I have a sharp blade up against my skin as opposed to double-edged blades, which I am, I can almost sense, I can almost feel. It's almost, the double-edged blade in the double-edged razor, to me, perception-wise, feels, I don't know, I was going to say akin to the same feeling that I have when I use a straight razor. But not in the way it shaves or the feel of the shave, but the cognizance of the fact that I have a sharp blade against my face. And for some reason, and I don't exactly know why, I don't have that same perception when I use a single-edged. It's really curious. It's, and to a certain extent, that's one of the reasons that I do these in the morning, because, those perceptions are still sharp and I can comment on them. And granted, I probably am not making much sense about it, but it's something that I notice and something that I see. So that was the shave of the day today. Didn't finish off with an aftershave, didn't feel it. It's just one of those things, every now and then, you just walk out of the house and go, you know what? I'm good. I don't need anything else. This is just fine. And, realistically, I'm not looking to impress anyone at work. And so, for me, it's for my own pleasure, the aftershaves that I use. And so, quite honestly, it's like, yeah, I'm good. The shave today, actually, it was the shave yesterday because I'm recording this a day late, but we'll talk about it anyhow. The shave, I used the new Badger brush, the Nathan Clark Badger brush, and I just happened to reach into the cabinet and pull out my jar of the Art of Shaving sandalwood. Now, I happen to really, really like sandalwood, and I had to lay off it for a while because I'd grown sensitive to it, but I thoroughly enjoy the smell of sandalwood. It's just, I don't know, I really, really like it. Anyhow, I lathered up, and of course, the Art of Shaving stuff it lathers well. Granted, God knows what chemicals are in it to get it to do that. But it does, and it does a fabulous job. I guess, all those years with, Procter & Gamble's experience with making soaps and creams and God knows what else, testing it on bunnies, etc. have paid off. So anyhow, I lathered up, and I'm really, really enjoying the Badger brush. It's God, it's soft. But it's got some backbone to it, which like the other day, it's almost an illusionary backbone. You wouldn't think with all that softness that there would be backbone behind it, but it seems that there is. Now, on a boar brush, it's very obvious that there's backbone behind it because, well, it's stiff. You get down to a certain level and it's just stiff. Whereas the Badger, it's just not. It just continues to be kind of springy, and so it's unique. Anyhow, the thing that I did, and I don't know why I do these things. It's just I don't know. It was an experiment. I wanted to try it. I picked up the old Gillette 1920s old, and proceeded to attempt to do a one-pass shave. Yeah, you heard me right. Not, trying to do it all in one pass, just to see, well, what would happen. What happened? Okay. 6 nicks, a couple of weepers, irritation, pain, let's see, irritation that lasted even after applying an Illume block and putting on an aftershave and everything else. It lasted probably about an hour and a half. In a nutshell, don't do it. Holy crap. And it wasn't that bad when I started. It's just after I finished, and it was like, ugh, ow, holy crap, ow. It was one of those, but I wanted to try it. Now, the interesting thing is that, okay, so the Gillette Old has a feather blade that's got a few shaves on it. It's probably close to being bin ready. But, it's got a couple shaves on it. So far, the Gillette Old has been a very nice little razor. It's not especially aggressive or anything like that. So, it's not, I don't blame the razor. I don't blame the lather. The lather was absolutely fabulous. I mean, it really was. It's, it does a great job, and under normal circumstances, the Art of Shaving stuff provides good protection and glide and everything else. What I blame is the fact that I was trying to do it all at once, and in doing it, or at least attempting to do it all at once, I was applying just a little bit more pressure than was probably needed, in order to get, close. And the shave was against the grain from the get-go. Now, usually what I'll do is I'll do a first pass cross grain, then I'll do a pass against the grain, and then I'll start doing touch-ups. Well, this time I skipped the cross grain and just went, against the grain, and boom, there you are. Ow! Now, it's interesting, too, because there have been many things that I've read on Facebook, etc., where people have said, I get irritation when I go across the grain, and I've always thought to myself, well, I go across the grain. That's my second pass. So, what's the issue? I don't understand. Okay, so this time I understand, because I went cross grain, or against the grain. Boy, I probably said that all wrong. What I meant to say is I have read on numerous forums and things that people are getting irritation going against the grain. And, I've always thought, well, I do that for my second pass, so, is it them? And then on this shave, I went against the grain first, just right off the bat against the grain. Ow! Irritation ensued, and so now I have a much better appreciation and understanding of what people are talking about when they say that, I tried an against the grain pass, and I suffered irritation. I understand. So anyhow, I washed it with water, which of course stung just a little bit because of the nicks and weepers and everything else, and applied the aluminum block to try to ease the agony, as it were, and it had some limited effect. Put on an aftershave a little while later, and then basically suffered for about an hour to an hour and a half before everything kind of calmed down, and I was able to enjoy my face again. So, all right. Now we move on to, today's shave. Today's shave was, after the facial beating that I took the day before, today's shave I wanted something that was a little bit, gentler. And so what I did is I jumped in the shower, and I took my Plisson brush, some Wickham's Super Smooth, and my single edge injector, my Schick Hydromagic, and proceeded to shave in the shower. Now, the amazing thing is that in the shower, in the moist environment where, you don't have to worry about things drying out, about your skin drying out, blah, 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 I did a one-pass shave. And I'm kind of thinking that that's what was in the back of my mind when I tried to do it, the other day at the sink. Okay, so lessons. You can, at least I can. I can do a one-pass shave in the shower and come out of it relatively, unscathed, because the shave today was very nice. It's now the injector blade that's in there has been in there forever. It's just, I probably have probably 15 shaves on that silly thing. It's probably time to change it, but it still seems to do a reasonable job. It's not super smooth. I mean, it's not, super close and everything, but it's very much a socially acceptable shave. And, just the fact that that blade has been in there forever, it gives a great lesson in economy. Does a very good job. I mean, so far, it's one of my favorite razors. I just enjoy it. It's, I don't know, just one of those things. So anyhow, and in fact, going along that line, one of the reasons that I do enjoy it is the handle. The handle is actually very reminiscent of the Gem Featherweight. Now, the Gem Featherweight has a specific handle shape, but the size and almost the shape is replicated in the Hydromagic, which has always, I noticed that this morning when I was shaving. I noticed, especially after the Gem push button, where I was really kind of down on the handle a little bit. This one, the Hydromagic has a shape and feel that's very reminiscent of the of the featherweight, and that may be one of the reasons that I enjoy using it, as well as the fact that it's just a nice little razor. The Police on Brush, of course, did a very nice job, and the complete lack of backbone really didn't come into play because, number one, I'm in the shower. There's no reason to scrub or anything. There's plenty of moisture and all, and so lathering it's really more of an application than it is a lathering. So there's a bit of a fundamental difference there. The application of the shaving soap in the shower is really, once you take a couple swirls in the soap, you're pretty much good to go. I mean, it's some light swirls on the face and boom, you're done. I mean, it's pretty. Well, it's just about as non-labor intensive as you can get for applying a soap. I mean, the only thing potentially easier is just hand soap. Rub it in your hands a couple times and lather soap up your face and boom, you're done. I mean, it's kind of like that. Now, of course, the legendary softness of the synthetic brush is legendary. And it was a nice change after, again, the abuse that I put upon myself the day before. So all in all, good shave, finished up with a balm. And it's a balm that I got for Christmas. It is a Stetson. It's supposed to be an aftershave. And I thought, okay, it's like an aftershave splash. No, it's an aftershave balm. It's like, really? And it's in a glass jar. It's like, how inconvenient is this? I mean, good gosh, you'll never get all of the stuff out of it. What a waste. I don't know. It was, yeah. I was disappointed. I mean, it smells okay. I do like Stetson. It's, it's one of those classic smells. Kind of a leathery, one of those. And, I don't know. I kind of want to. I've got some old Stetson aftershave, and some old Stetson cologne, and I kind of wanted to try to see if they'd changed the scent, and it appears that they have not. Unlike Procter and Gamble with Old Spice, so maybe Stetson is still selling to men. So that's it in a nutshell. Pretty good shave today. Probably let the face calm down a couple more days before I do anything else crazy. It's been one of those weeks. It's just been it's been a week of trying to catch up and get over the holidays and catch up at work and get things done around the house and watch the occasional football game. And boy, there was a thing, a football game yesterday. Even my son, who's I don't know, he enjoys football a lot, used to play and all, and even he said, when it's not even close, it's not fun to watch. And he's absolutely right. It's not. It's I don't know. It's kind of boring when it's back and forth, and at least a competition. It's like, yeah, okay, this is good. When it's just I don't know. When the other side is just getting, steamrolled, it's just kind of, okay, they didn't even show up. So, it's like, it's not very exciting. You feel bad for the team that's getting beat, but there you go. So we're here in the mobile studio, and I was going to talk about the shave today, but then I realized that I'm suffering from a bit of a problem, and the problem that I have, quite honestly, is, a lack of focus. I found recently that I don't know, it's not that I don't enjoy the podcast. It's not that I don't enjoy, shaving and daily shaving and experimenting and everything else. But I found that, I'm wandering all over the place. I'm picking up, an old vintage Gillette. I'm picking up a gem single edge, an injector. Today I used a slant. I'm using just all kinds of soaps. Right now, the only thing that is constant, the only thing that is, well, the same on a daily basis, is the fact that I've been using the same brush. But, on reflection, what I'm suffering from to a certain extent is, well, a lack of focus. And I don't know, it happens from time to time. I've gone through this before, and I think it happens to, well, everybody at some point in time or another. You get doing something for a period of time, and after a while, it's just like, okay. I don't want it to be the same old, but it kind of seems like, well, the same old. So, I don't know. I find myself in, well, a quandary. A quandary because I've lacked, or I've run out of, focus. Now, I've been doing this podcast for a long time, and I probably will continue to do it. I mean, don't freak out on me here. Just because, well, I enjoy, I don't know, just doing a podcast. It's kind of nice. But I don't know, it's interesting. I see other people kind of doing these kind of things too, They'll start off with something on YouTube or a blog or something like that, and then they'll evolve into, I don't know, some other territory or some other topic to kind of spread things out. And I think the reason that people do that is so that they have something that they can focus on, so that they can bring some kind of positive energy, because you can only bring positive energy towards something for so long before, well, you just kind of run out. And then you need to kind of step back and recharge the batteries and go, okay, wait a minute, time out here. It's, like somebody once said, I had a friend who listened to one of my podcasts, and he said, "Oh my God, you've talked for 70 hours on shaving." Think about that for a minute. Yeah, well, it's not all shaving, but it's all about shaving, but to some extent or another. But it's not all shaving. So, so I'll throw that caveat in there. So I haven't gone completely off the deep end. I'm kind of right there on the edge. But, every now and then you just, well, lack focus. You find that your thoughts are kind of drifting around, and there's nothing really to allow you to center, I guess is the best word. There's nothing to land on. It's like you're a bird flying, and there's nothing but flat ground, and it's like you don't want to be there. You want to be up in a tree or on something, or up a little bit higher, and there's nothing to land on. It's kind of like that. So it's kind of like writer's block, I suppose. Vocal block. Unlike laryngitis, which is just lack. But it's curious. It's like I started out doing it in the truck here because I thought, well, that would be fun and that would be different. And well, I've been doing that for a couple of shows now, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's fun and it's different, but now I've, you can talk about the shaves of the day and things like that, but I don't have focus. And it's one of those things that when you think about it, it's like, it's not really disheartening, but it's, to a certain extent, puzzling. Well, no, I mean, you're going to lose focus every now and then, but you puzzle over, okay, well, what will allow me, what can I refocus on? What can what will help me refocus? And sometimes, that part of the journey just kind of, that's the hard part. That once you get focus, you're fine. You're good. You kind of have to step back every now and then and say, okay, what am I doing here? especially when you've been doing something that has worked reasonably well for, a long period of time. And it's not that you run out of steam. Well, maybe you run out of, I don't know. I was going to say intellectual steam, but that's not necessarily it. The well just runs dry. You run out of ideas. And so that's where I am. So, it's like I said, I wanted to talk about the shave of the day today, But then I realized, I've been all over the place this week. I've been just about everywhere. And do you really want to listen to a guy talk about every shave that he does that's all over the place? I don't think so. At least I wouldn't. Get kind of old after a while. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah. But that's where we are. Had an interesting conversation with my Boy Scout troop. They were talking about one of the tents that we have and expressing to me that, the tent pole was broken. At which point I asked the question, wait a minute, time out. The tent pole is broken, as in snapped in two? No, that's not it. The shock cord that runs up the middle of the tent pole that, holds it together when you assemble it, and is really, I'll get to that in a minute. That broke. And because that broke, it's very difficult to put the tent poles together because it's in the way. So it's broken. Okay. Really? Let me ask you a question here, guys. What's that cord there for? Does it serve a purpose, or is it just for your convenience? And they thought about it a minute, and they finally came to the conclusion that yes, indeed, with some prompting, that yes, indeed, the shock cord is just there for convenience. At which point I used it as a method of, displaying a concept. Just because something is not the way that you think it should be, doesn't mean it's broke. If part of it is there for your convenience, and that part is not functioning, that's okay. You can still potentially use the part. In this case, for example, the shock cord being in or out of the tent pole does not change the fact that the tent pole does what it does, how it does it. You can still assemble all the sections of the tent pole. Granted, you may have to work a little bit harder to hold them all together, but once they're all together, you can still use that same tent pole without the shock cord to put up your tent. And that proves a valuable lesson in life because, quite honestly, in today's society, we do not, in any shape, manner, fashion, or whatever, give kids an opportunity to think critically, to have those kind of experiences, to run into those kind of issues and decide, yes, I can still use this, or yes, this is still functional. Instead, what we've trained our children to do is, it's broke, throw it away, buy a new one. It's just money. It's no big deal. Really? Huh. Okay. So if you have, a cell phone with a battery that's going out, what do you do with it? Do you buy a new one and throw that one out? Spend another couple $100 on a new one, or do you replace the battery for $20? Think about that for a minute. Now, granted, is there some skill involved in doing some of this? Maybe. But take the skill out of it. The underlying symptom is that we are developing in our own offspring a throwaway society. A society that does not look to fix things. A society that truly looks at just, okay, it doesn't work as advertised, it doesn't work the way I'm used to it, throw it away, done. Problem. Same thing with tent pegs. We had some bent tent pegs yesterday, and they had been put back in the tent bag. At which point I asked the question, wait a minute, time out. I threw them on the table and I said, What's wrong with this picture? Are they usable? Are they good to go? How is this acceptable? What do you do about it? Then an interesting debate ensued. Is that okay if we take them out of the bag and don't put them back in the bag? How do we mark the bags in such a way that we can tell which bags are missing tent pegs or missing poles or have other things that are not there? How do we do that? Okay. But what I witnessed, and this was the part that was really cool, what I witnessed was kids being allowed and being exposed to thinking critically, to thinking, okay, there are multiple solutions, which one is potentially the best and why? Just because something is, bent, twisted, whatever, not in its original format, can it still be used or can it be repaired? And that was good stuff. And to a certain extent, I wonder, how many razors end up in the landfill, the old classic styles, not the new ones. The new ones are garbage anyhow. But the old classic ones, because somebody looked at them and went, this handle's broken, or this tooth is bent, or something like that, or this blade is rusted in it. Well, throw it away. We've become a society like that. There is no desire to rebuild. There is no desire to refurbish. There's only a desire to have new and improved. Maybe we could change that. Like I said the other day, somebody had sent me a picture of a ball end handle that had a cracked tube, and he'd taken the tube off of it and turned an absolutely gorgeous wooden sleeve for it, so that he put the ball end and the top part on it. And the end result was an absolutely beautiful razor handle. I mean, he'd just done some gorgeous wood. And that right there is an example of somebody looking at something and going, okay, yeah, it's not quite right, but it's still usable. Still usable. I don't know about you, but that's the kind of thought process that I want to instill in my kids. All of them. My scouting kids, my own kids. That's what we need. We need people to look at things and go, yep, we can fix that. We can make it better. We can make it nicer. We can make it personal. We can do something that nobody else has. Make it our own. Will it be 100% right? Maybe not. But it'll be ours, and it'll still be useful. Good stuff. So it's an interesting day. Yesterday I was kind of moping around going, and today I feel, I don't know, kind of enlivened. It's just, I feel better. It's, I don't know why. I can't really put my finger on why, but I feel more, I don't know, energized and alive, and, like my batteries got recharged or something. I don't know. Maybe I had a decent night's sleep or something. I really can't put my finger on it. There was nothing in particular that was bothering me yesterday or anything. It's just one of those days. I mean, and I got on the air here. It's like, what am I going to talk about? I've run out of ideas. Today it's like, well, it'll come to me. It's okay. No big deal. It's curious the way we ebb and flow through life. On some days we are alive and alert and, excited. And then on other days it's just like, oh God, leave me alone. Just life, just go away. Let me be. It's really interesting. And to a certain extent, you have to wonder, how many interactions do you have with people that go positively because, well, you're energized and they're energized and everybody's in that same state, and just, it's like, it's good to be there. It's, everybody's kind of happy to be there. Everybody's, just, ooh, yeah, this is good stuff. Even if it turns out, something that we don't want, it's still good stuff because we're here in the moment we're experiencing. And then there are other times when it doesn't matter what happens. You're walking around and going, oh, God, leave me alone. And you run into other people and they're probably in the same position and thinking to themselves, oh, God, leave me alone. And the two of you together, and it's just like this death spiral of negativity that slowly drains the life and energy out of everything. And you're sitting there going, and you wonder just how much that actually impacts our lives and our relationships and our experiences. If you walk up to somebody the first time and you have that kind of an experience with them, it's like, what's your impression? Holy cow. It's just, oh my God, you walk away, even if you're the one that, because it takes two to tango. Even if you're one of the parties there that was in that kind of foul off mood, if you will, and you meet this person for the first time, your impression of them is like, oh God, they're foul, they're just not happy, and and of course they have the same impression of you possibly, and it really makes you wonder. It's like, wow. It was another one of those epiphanies. It was like, should we not necessarily, rely on our first impressions? Should we give people a second chance? And I would postulate at this point that yes, we should. Kind of like, our razors and our shaves and our soaps and our brushes, that, if we're in a bad mood and we're not excited, and we're not happy, and we're not, enjoying life, and you use them and it's like, oh God, this thing cut me, it's a piece of garbage. Well, it's, maybe it cut you because you were in a hurry, or you weren't paying attention, or you were distracted. And do you form a negative opinion and put it down and never pick it up again? Or do you say, well, okay, that was yesterday. Let's do something again today. Let's do this again today, just to try it. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe it was me yesterday. You never know. And sometimes that admission that it could have been you, that it could have been the circumstances, that it could have been, things that were going on in your life, things that, well, just weren't quite clicking. Your engine wasn't firing on all cylinders. You weren't ecstatic to be alive and to be here and to enjoy life and everything that it had to offer, both positive and negative. You weren't in that moment. You weren't in that mood. And sometimes you need to admit that, and you need to understand that, and you need to say, okay, we can continue on, and we'll try it again, and, maybe if it doesn't work right, well, then maybe, there's some basis to this. But if it does, maybe I'll have to rethink my opinion of a person, of a product, of an event. Yeah. So anyhow, that was kind of one of the things that, I was thinking about this morning.
Well, that concludes this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have some suggestions or would like a topic covered, drop me an email at brushandsoapandblade@gmail.com or give me a call at 864-372-6234 or contact us on Twitter at Brush and Blade. You can also visit us at our blog, brushandsoapandblade.wordpress.com. As always, we're available on iTunes and Stitcher.